How exactly do multiplayer games work? So technically the simplest form of a multiplayer game is, well, any game where you can compete or play with other people at the same time. Even something like a world leaderboard technically makes your single player game a quote-unquote multiplayer because you're indirectly playing against other people trying to beat their scores. So yeah, that would be just about it. That's all for Okay, I'm kidding. I know you want to know how does Call of Duty, PUBG or Fortnite let thousands of players play in real time across the world, all shooting each other and somehow synchronizing perfectly. Or well, at least somewhat perfectly. So let's break it down. So let's start with our good old single player game. Say we have this plane that I'm currently controlling on my PC. My keyboard and mouse sends input, the game updates the plane's position, and then the game shows me the results on the screen. Everything happens locally, my computer does all the work. Now, if I wanted to make this multiplayer, let's say you also have the same game running on your PC. Yes, you, the one who's watching the video right now. Your plane can fly around on your screen. But right now, our games doesn't even know that the other one exists. So how do we connect them? We need something that can share data between our two games. Something that tells my game where your plane is and your game where mine is. And that's where networking comes in. There are two ways to do networking. First one is peer-to-peer, also known as P2P. In this model, our computers directly talk to each other. I send you my plane's position, you send me yours. Easy, right? But it has problems, mainly security and synchronization issues. That basically means if one player has bad internet or cheats, everyone suffers. So most big games kind of try to avoid this. The second one is the server based. Here, both of us connect to a server, and think of the server as a separate computer that acts as a quote-unquote game referee. The server receives all our inputs, updates the game state, and then tells both players what's happening. So, say when I press W to move forward, the server receives that input, updates my position, and sends the new position to you. That's how both of us see the same thing in our games. Now, most modern multiplayer games use something called an authoritative server. Basically, in a nutshell, the server is the boss. It decides what's actually true in the actual game world. So here, the client, that's us players, just request actions. For example, if I want to shoot a bullet, my client says, "Hey server, I just shot." The server will check if it's valid, then calculates where it hits, and then updates everyone's screen. This prevents cheating and keeps everything and everyone synchronized. But wait a minute, if everything has to go through the server, wouldn't that cause delay? Yes, it absolutely does. That's called latency or the good old lag. In order to hide that delay, games use tricks like client-side predictions and lag compensations. That sounds complex, but they are actually pretty simple. Your game, quote unquote, guesses what will happen before the server confirms it. So, say when you press forward, your game immediately moves you even before the server says yes, you are allowed to move. This allows for a smoother gameplay with better responsiveness. And say if the prediction is wrong, then it corrects the prediction to match the server's confirmed state. This also prevents cheating. Then lag compensation on the server side, say a player shoots, it rewinds the game slightly to see where you were at that time to make the hit feel fair. That's why you sometimes die behind a wall in online shooters. That's just the server trying to be fair to someone with a higher ping. So now you know the basics of multiplayer, but how do games like PUBG or Call of Duty handle thousands of games simultaneously? Simple, they don't. They don't run on one massive server. They run on many different servers across continents. Each match is its own instance on a dedicated machine somewhere in the cloud. So when you hit play, the matchmaking system finds other players with a similar ping or skills or ranks and then assigns all of you to one single game server. That's why you see quote unquote connecting to server or finding match. It's literally finding a virtual room for you and then just spawning a copy of the game there. Now inside that server, everything from players' positions, bullets, to loot, to health, to weapons is synchronized through the network messages. Now don't get overwhelmed. Network messages are just packets of data that communicates between client, that is you, and the server. Those are sent multiple times per second and they are also known as ticks. Yes, the same ticks which when they are higher allows for more responsiveness and accurate gameplay, but increase the load on the servers. Now, games like CSGO or Valorant have tick rates of like 64 or 28 ticks per second, meaning the server updates the game from 64 to 128 times every single second. So in a nutshell, more ticks equals smoother gameplay, but also more bandwidth and increasing the cost of upholding a server. Wrapping up. So to sum it all up, first, multiplayer works by sending and receiving data between players. Second, usually there is an authoritative server managing the real state of the game. Third, to make things smooth, games use prediction and compensation techniques. And four, massive games scale up using cloud servers and matchmaking systems. Multiplayer games are a beautiful mix of programming, networking, and a lot of maths to make it all feel real time. So yeah, next time when you play a game like Call of Duty or Valorant, just remember, behind all that chaos is a bunch of computers talking really, really fast. If you like this breakdown, drop a like, comment if you want to know the basics or brief of anything else in gaming or technology, and subscribe for more game dev related content. That would be just about it. That's all for now for real. Cheers and peace.